Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Marc Rind, the VP of Software Development at Fiserv. Good afternoon in your case, Mark. How you doing?
I'm well, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your history?
Sure. I'm Marc Rind. I'm at Fiserv. I'm head of software development for data and analytics. Both here and before this, I was at ADP, where I was chief data scientist and head of data and analytics software development there. And it's been all about data and really around using data to give insights to our customers through our existing product sets, whether that's between making recommendations or finding insights on areas of improvement for our customers and their customers as well. So that's kind of my background and how I got here. And I do love data.
Well, as do I. I'm a former DBA. So why don't you tell us what Fiserv does, who you serve, what your products are, those kind of things?
Sure, absolutely. Fiserv is one of the leading software providers for banks and for financial institutions that are, all the banks that, other than like the really big banks, most banks don't build their own software. They come to Fiserv to have all the software around processing, things related to banking, withdrawals, deposits, loans, you name it, money movements. I can go on and on about the world of banking and the transmission of data and moving it all around, processing it all the way down to the websites that our bank customers use to log in to do their mobile banking. Also, recently in the last couple of years, have merged with First Data, which handles, I think 1 in 4 credit card swipes in the country, has data kind of passing through its processing capabilities. And ultimately, at the end of the day, whether it's serving banks or merchants down to the swipe at a Clover terminal, Fiserv is dedicated to helping their customers manage and move that money to where it needs to get to and provide the experience. And what I'm here for is to help them with the insights to help them run their businesses and their banks better.
Very interesting. And we both know fintech is actually a very hot topic right now. So I'm assuming, has that actually increased your potential customer base?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Whether it be moving from in-person, like brick and mortar branches, onto more of a mobile experience is obviously, especially in these days of COVID, less people walking into the local branch and more wanting to handle what they need to online. That's a big one. And obviously also, the use of cashless purchases, right? Whether that be, many facilities they're only doing cards only to online purchases. Obviously that's on the rise dramatically with what's been going on with the pandemic and people using less cash and doing more shopping from their desks.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those people. I still have a $20 bill in my billfold that I've had for a year or two. I've only been to the bank once in the last year, I think, into the actual brick and mortar building. So your employee base, where are they? Are they located up in New Jersey, or are they all over the country or all over the world potentially?
They're all over the country, and in some cases all over the world. We have quite a presence in India right now, so it's been tough for those folks. But also I have technologists across the country, in Nebraska and Atlanta, West Coast, and also building up a new team here in New York, New Jersey. So the company is worldwide, and my team specifically is also worldwide and spread out very broadly to begin with.
And was that true? Has that been true for a long time? Did you allow remote working before COVID?
So it's interesting. So I'm based in New Jersey. There are offices here, but no one directly working for me locally as I started, which was just a couple of years, last year. But we have facilities all over the country. So many people were obviously in different offices. There were some folks remote, but generally, so it was a mix. Even before the pandemic, something of a mix. But even within that mix, if I was going to have a team-wide meeting, it would certainly be obviously all virtual.
Mhm. Yeah, and since then, I mean, last March, actually 2 Marches ago now, everyone went remote. So I'm assuming that had an impact on you and your team, correct?
Yes, as it does, as it did for many. And it's been interesting. I've seen some pros and cons. I mean, the cons, there's nothing quite like designing a product and being in a room together with a whiteboard, but it's gotten closer. I have to admit, with this and everyone being remote, it's actually helped me personally, as someone who has been generally remote. So there has not been those in-person conference calls and meetings with someone on the phone, right? The person on the phone always gets the short end of the stick. Now everyone being virtual, webcams and Zoom, and we use Teams. It's become the new way that we're all working. And quite honestly, I think there's a lot of the benefits have kind of shown that people are able to get as much, if not more, done remotely and still stay connected through video chat and the technologies that are offering virtual workplace today.
And it's interesting. I've had, a number of executives say that what happened when everybody went remote, it basically evened the playing field, for the people that were remote as opposed to those that were in the office had an advantage. And now it's like everybody's remote, whether you're a mile apart or 3,000 miles apart, right?
I totally agree with that. And I do miss the travel. There is nothing that can replace that, getting to know someone face to face. So I'm looking forward to travel opening up again so I can visit people. But I do agree that on the day to day, I think it evening the playing field. I think that's a good way to look at it. To have everyone kind of working at that same remote virtual experience has been helpful.
Yeah, and now that things are starting to come back to normal. Actually, here in the Bay Area, we're at 50% of capacity with in general. So it's getting to the point where we're going to start going back into the office. Do you think you'll go back to the 9 to 5? Everyone in the office, or do you think it'll be more of a hybrid?
I don't think it'll ever be the same. I can't foresee the 9 to 5 cube culture ever really needing to come back, to be quite honest. I think offices, as we're going to open up, we're starting to explore that hybrid approach, thinking of, kind of hoteling options. Again, these are all things that we're just starting to test out. Even just have that hybrid option with even more flexible days, and then once in a while get everyone together, kind of see some human faces versus the digital representation of us, would be a nice approach, I think. So we're just starting to think about those.
Yeah,
those getting back to work approaches. Yeah,
I think a lot of companies, what they're looking at is, hey, why spend all the money on these fancy offices? Let's let people work remotely, and then periodically bring them all into one place. Use the money for that, right? Which is actually, I think, will be the new norm.
Yeah, I think something to that effect. I agree. And I think it also depends on the type of work that folks do. And I think it also depends on the person, right? There are folks that just are more comfortable going into the office, right? Yeah. And that's like their routine, and that's totally cool. But I do think that as a mandatory part of the work experience, I don't think it's going to be as mandatory anymore, right? I think it's I think we've come up with new different ways to work other than the traditional 9 to 5 approach.
Yeah, and you being head of software development, I think we both agree, software developers typically can work from home. I mean, they do need to collaborate, generally at the beginning of projects or at sprints, but in general, they can work remotely, correct?
I totally agree. And I also think that, I think that there are some approaches, even to a virtual workspace, that I think still is beneficial and helpful. Like, for instance, developers working and they know what they're working on, but it's nice to have that, ability to look up and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or take a look at this real quick without a meeting, without like let me set something up. Ugh, right. Like, so we've done, kind of working hours, right? Like a few hours, I'm going to heads down with this, but have the work group up, right? Like even video of people just not speaking, right? But just being able to kind of crack a joke, or, hey, let me share this real quick. Let me get your opinions on something. That I've seen work really well also. Yeah. We had we banged out some software at speeds never seen before for a company of our size. When we had to build our PPP loan application last year, we had to turn that around rather quickly. And having that mentality of, hey, if we were all together, we'd all lock ourselves in a conference room, order in pizzas, and just bang this out, right? But we'd all be together, right? And we'd all be able to kind of, help each other out and give opinions, and kind of took that approach when we did it. That's rapid development, and even virtually, it worked out great. It really did. Having that ability to kind of quickly talk or share, and then kind of move forward was I think really well done.
Oh, very cool. So, well, Mark, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been great talking to a fellow data nerd. I share that passion with you, and good luck to yourself and to Fiserv.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Mark. Take care.